everyone.
Just having a friendly chat before we start.
Yeah, wow. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, we do have some early birds joining.
We do. Love to see keenness. Folks,
Right.
Hi there, everyone. Just as you're joining us here in the webinar, I would love to invite you to start sharing where you are in the world.
Hey, Sarah.
In chat. Hi, Sarah. Just let us know where you are. It'd be great just while we're waiting on everyone to join us. Netherlands, fantastic. Quebec, Paris, wow. Global
Nicole, hi.
Look.
I see some friendly faces here. Or names.
Alex, yes. Alex Mosberger.
Amelie,
Iceland.
oh, you're here too. Hi.
Dundee, Scotland, hello.
Look, Mark is here. Hi, Mark.
Montreal, Nigeria, it's all over the world. Bristol.
Nigeria, Brussels, Delhi.
Republic of Georgia.
Aberdeen, yay!
Yay!
Fantastic.
Berlin.
Anyone from Berlin?
Yes, yes.
There was a few. India, welcome.
Deep countryside in Ireland.
Nice, that's nice.
Excellent. So folks just that are joining us, we're just waiting on people coming into the webinar. So we have invited you all just to let us know where you are in the world. It could be a state, your country, it could be a continent. Just let us know where you're at.
Irish
Singapore, wow, 1 a.m. in the morning, you're keen. Excellent.
Saya, hi. Kolkata, quite a few people from Kolkata. New York City, Portugal.
And these are just the early birds. We've still officially got 1 minute to go till we actually open.
Estonia, USA, Indiana, it's 12 at noon. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's okay.
So we have 103 participants joining now. I'm still waiting for others to come. Pakistan.
UAE, Saudi Arabia.
Heidelberg. I want to visit Heidelberg. Like we did a project about the city. I really want to see the city.
Montreal here. Okay, a few folks from Montreal too. Well, thanks for joining, Saya.
Cyprus.
Minsk, Belarus.
Excellent. Again, for those that are just joining, we're just waiting on everyone coming on board. It's one of our record-breaking webinar numbers. Again, we'll share out that number shortly, but if you like just to take the opportunity to tell us where you are in the world, it's great for us to know. I myself are in Scotland, and John and Dana and Alex are in Berlin. So it's lovely to see you all coming in, such a global audience. It's really affirming, it's great.
Good.
So we're sitting at 148. We've hit the 150 mark. Welcome, everyone.
Duncan here in London. Welcome, Duncan. Sunny Virginia Beach, USA.
Nice.
Okay, lovely spending my lunch break with you. Okay, we're going to be right on time. We're going to start shortly.
Excellent.
Some people during their lunch break, some people it's 1 a.m. Okay, so it's good that we're in the center here somehow. Good.
Excellent. Just a minute or so more, folks, just to let everyone come into the webinar. Again, just reiterate, we're really delighted to see you all here, especially at this time of year when we're all busy with Christmas, etc. So it's lovely to have you all here with us. Very much a global audience as we're shouting out names from right across the globe.
Valencia, Spain. I bet there are like 20 degrees there. Summer.
We're almost at 180. So if we can share with you, we had 500 sign-ups. It's been a record-breaking sign-up for us here at DSA. It's all down to you. So we're almost at the 200 mark. So again, we'll give it a minute and we will get started. Perhaps it's good to maybe start sharing some of the housekeeping. There's a couple of points just to raise with you, just to rest assure you all, we cannot see or hear you apart from in the chat. So we are going to be recording the session and we will be sharing out with you all afterwards. So anything that you miss, you can relook once you get the recording. But we also encourage you to participate further in putting your questions in the Q&A, which you will find at the bottom of the Zoom screen. I'll monitor it, Alex and I will monitor it throughout the demonstration and through the talk that John and Dana is going to give us. So if you do have any questions, put them in there and we'll make sure that we put some time aside at the end for John and Dana or myself or Alex to answer. Again, if there's anything other that you just want to communicate, the chat's always there as well. So without further ado, I think we will go on to, I think we're sitting at 205. So welcome everybody. Again, we had invited, if you haven't all done already, we do encourage you to put where you are dialing in from. It is very much a global audience today. So again, welcome to all. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I love how you're all putting yes. That's it. I love it. So we might not be able to see you or visually or hear you, but we can certainly communicate well. Thank you so much. So just to give you an introduction to, obviously this is our last webinar of 2020, our series of webinars that we've carried out through this very unusual time that we've all experienced in one shape or form of lockdown. So today we're going to focus on how to prioritise the target audience and define the problem statement. And what you'll discover from John and Dan is our passion here at Design Sprint Academy about problem framing and how our methodology actually differs from the original sprint framework that was brought out a few years ago now. So as you have already seen, the panel that you have here with you tonight is John and Dana Vitan, who are founders of Design Sprint Academy. Kate Mackay, I'm here in Scotland. I'm the managing partner and support John and Dana and the rest of the team in Berlin. And we have Alex as well, who is our innovation consultant and our mural expert. And so, yeah, we are delighted to be here. And as I say at the end, we will form part of that panel for the Q&A as well. So who are Design Sprint Academy and what do we do? So we are very much focused on helping organisations of all size, from startup through to Fortune 500, essentially understand where to play and how to win in this, I would say, turbulent times that we face, not only just with COVID-19, but with societal shifts that are going on, which has very much been accelerated under the current state. So we help organisations transform using design sprints, and we can apply that to many different areas. Some are building sustainable products, it could be developing new business models and solving organisation and businesses' toughest problems and decision making. So how do we do that? So there's three ways that we do that. And the first one is workshop facilitation. So again, John and Dana will take us through what are the differences between the original sprint framework and our very own Design Sprint 3.0 methodology. But essentially we run problem framing workshops, we tailor design sprints for our clients, and we also build custom innovation programs for companies across the globe. The second part of what we do is our training, and we like to not only see companies thrive, but we want to be able to step away from those companies and know that they can carry on without us. And that's very much done with our training program. And thirdly, there is our certification. where you can take part and then become a certified design sprint facilitator. And you can then become certified in it as well. So that's how we do it. So just again, John and Dana will lead on this in the following session, but we just want to touch on, yeah, design sprint is something that has been done before. But what we did way back in the beginning is that we actually identified the importance of problem framing in the design sprint methodology. And so we like to think, and I think it's something that we own and that we like to own, is that we are first with the best. And that again, I think will become very apparent when John and Dana describe why we took problem framing out of the original methodology and why we focus on it. So we're very passionate and very proud to say that we are, I would like to think, the first in class when it comes to that. And the next slide is also something that we're incredibly proud of. We are part of the Google affiliate network. We have 2 design sprint chapters, hoping for more, but we have London and Berlin currently just now. We see little old Aberdeen up there as well. But we also have an amazing network of affiliate partners across the globe. Facilitators, trainers, and our alumni. We have got some incredible support out there in the globe, and you guys as well. So we'd love to engage with you more as well. In regards to who we work with, again, this kind of slide speaks for itself, but we work again from startups right through to Fortune 500. So it shows you just how I would say design sprints have been brought into the heart of organizational change over recent years. And we are just seeing that accelerated even more. So again, I think the problem framing ending 2020 on this subject is super important for us to then take it forward into 2021. So my final slide here is just then to say our agenda for the next half an hour, 40 minutes. So it's all about why problem framing, and John and Dan are going to give us the context behind that. Why do we need to frame problems or challenges before we enter into the solution space? And then we're going to do a demo, because again, we have got this amazing canvas, this in mural. And it's been one of the biggest downloads in the Mural kind of partner program, our problem statement workshop canvas. So we're going to demo that as well. And then we'll have the Q&A at the end. So again, I champion you all to put your Q&A into the area on Zoom, and I'll monitor that throughout. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to John and Dana. So what I'll do just now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and again, just put your questions in the Q&A as we go through.
Thank you, Kate. You made me blush many times.
It's time to be humble now.
You know,
because that's where everything starts, right?
So I'm sharing my my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all good. I want to start, or we want to start with why problem framing. And it wasn't from the very beginning that we knew about problem framing. It was a series of events and experiences that led us to this. And that's something that I want to start with, talk a little bit about our experience and what set us on this path. And then we're going to move into what is problem framing. And as Kate said, end up with demonstrating how to do that in a workshop format remotely. Before we were Design Sprint Academy, many years ago, we were leading a software agency, building all kinds of digital products, websites, apps, platforms, you name it. And we had this amazing team of developers, designers, fancy office, building all of these products, mostly for startups. We worked a lot with startups in a very lean way. That's what we wanted to believe, starting with their ideas, building their products, launching, learning from that, and iterating. Not only that, but we also built their pitch decks in order to raise investor fund. So you can say that we were with them for their entire journey from the very beginning until sometimes, unfortunately, to the very end. So this is what we were doing, and it was all fine and good. But there was one client, one experience that really changed our mindset and how we were looking at the solutions we were building. And that's the story we want to share with you today. This client of ours was called Trading Table, and they approached us. I think it was 2012, 2013, so many years ago, and they wanted to disrupt the food industry, and most specifically the restaurant business. Um, they wanted to do a platform. It was a marketplace and the promise was that it would save restaurants 10% on their food costs, which is huge, especially in an industry where you don't work with too big of a margin. Just to give you a little bit of context of how the marketplace works and what the environment, what the ecosystem was, you basically have restaurants who need to order food, and they have all kinds of items from meat to ketchup to drinks to vegetables, and they would use sales representatives to give the orders to, and the sales representatives would be the middleman and sourcing them from all kinds of distributors, because you'll have a distributor for food, one for drinks, one for tomatoes, vegetables, you name it. In many times, a restaurant would say, I want 10 cases of chicken, 4 ketchup, 100 tomatoes. So this would be the order that the sales reps would take. The thing with this is that restaurants would do something that is called cherry picking, which means they wanted to get the best price on every single item. And the sales rep would do their best to do a best price on an item, but what happened in reality, they would leave margins and they would make money on other products. And on the other end of the spectrum, the distributors, they really didn't have much power, because that power was in the hands of the middleman. So that was the ecosystem, the landscape, the food chain, right, that they wanted to disrupt. And how did they want to do it? They identified the problems, right? There was no transparent pricing. There was a lot of power with the sales representatives. The inventory management was very, very difficult. And then you'd have multiple distributors for a single order, right? Because that was how it went. And the solution to it, which feels very intuitive and very good, is like, let's cut off the middleman. And that's exactly what Trading Table wanted to do. And basically, this platform would allow the restaurants to source products directly from distributors, and the orders would be optimized. They would get the best value. And then at the end of the day, there would be value both for restaurants and also for distributors. Of course, you'd not so much for the sales reps. So that was the idea, and we started building it. We built it for quite a lot of time. And in the end, we managed to do this amazing algorithm that would optimize your orders, that would tell you which distributor to order what items from, would connect also distributors to the restaurants and help them get more business. Restaurants would have visibility into a whole new range of products that they didn't have access before. So it was like all super, super nice. Now, we launched 2 years later the platform. It was live. And then 1 year after the launch, we re-engaged with our client, and they were actually running a pilot with 10 restaurants on board. However, they were not actively using the platform. They were using the platform, but not actively. And what happened is that the startup founders, Trading Table founders, became sales reps. And all of the restaurants would place their orders through them. And of course, the founders would use their own platform to connect with distributors, but obviously this was not a way to scale. The way to scale would be that the restaurants would use the platform themselves. Now,
I think what's key to the story is that they would submit the orders via phone. So they would not touch the platform itself, our amazing engine at all. They would just call Trading Table representatives and send them the order via phone. And the Trading Table will then
put the order into the platform
for them and send it to the distributors later on.
Right. So it was still this manual process there. Yes, we replaced the sales rep, but we put a lot of manual work on the founders who indeed use the platform to perform its magic and calculate the best prices. And that was happening. It's just that restaurants were not doing it themselves. So what was the problem? Because if you think about the value proposition was saving restaurants 10% on their food cost. And the restaurants, just so you know, they're spending between 2,000 and 10,000 a week on food costs and drinks. Functionality, it was all there. We were connected and integrated with large databases of products, all standardized, all up to date. We had this amazing price engine that would optimize order value based on quantities and distributors. It was approved by restaurants, by distributors, they all loved it. In terms of desirability, the interface was easy to use. It was intuitive. It worked on different devices, including tablets, phones, right? The product range, as I mentioned, really, really big. And the distributors find it very valuable. Actually, we got a few of the distributors, they were the first to join the pilot because they saw the value in it, like getting more business. So what was the problem?
So that was the big question.
That was the big
for us. What we shared with you was what we knew at that point. I think I want to open the discussion here and invite you to write in the chat some hypotheses, like what do you think the problem was? Why do you think the restaurants wouldn't use the platform actively, wouldn't submit their orders so that they get the best price? Although it worked beautifully, it performed very nicely, it was super intuitive, it had all the products in the world, everything was with pictures, with details and all kind of information. So feel free to write down some ideas, or what do you think that went wrong, or why do you think restaurants wouldn't just do?
Yeah, because restaurants want to buy from several channels and they didn't necessarily look for price discount. Oh, that's a good insight. Okay, let's see if that's human connection and experience. They want to haggle. The restaurants like talking to a person. Yes. They got used to do it by phone. Yeah, all good, no user research. How could you tell that? Right. So let's see, let's find out. And I'm going to let Dana take you through this.
We didn't know the answer, and we had lots of ideas what could the problem be. So we decided, okay, let's just look at those restaurants that were already onboarded on the trading table platform and schedule some interviews and just talk to them and just ask them, like, how are you solving or ordering problems right now? And what's preventing you from using this platform? So those were like our main questions that we wanted to learn the answer for. So we spoke with 8 restaurant owners, and we kind of screened them so that they would have this average food cost of $8,000 to $20,000 per week. They were all registered on trading table and they were not actively using the platform. So that was the criteria for us to define, like, who are we going to talk to? And no. And we spoke to them and trying to find out what the problem is. And this is what we discovered. We tackled on this topic, price versus quality, and we found out that small diners focus on price and larger restaurants actually focus on quality. It depends, of course, on the type of customers that enters that restaurant. We also learned that for fresh food, quality is more important, but for packaged foods, price matters more. We also learned that owners check prices once in a while, so it's not so often as we expect it and when we build a platform. And we discovered that quality from specific distributors determine loyalty. People would stick, even if they have more expensive product, they would stick with the distributors that provide them with the right type of quality. Then we looked into this topic, the sales representatives relationships. And we found out that restaurant owners actually have long-term relationships with their sales reps, 20 years in some cases, 30 years in other cases. And that's because Sales reps actually solve emergencies, can be trusted, help them when situations are like really heated. And they also help them with more flexible credit terms because they allow them to delay their payments. They think for them in many cases when they don't know what to choose or what's the best option for them. And there's also this mentality that, well, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So we discovered that those relationships matter. Then we looked at the inventory, and we discovered that the inventory is it's checked manually, and it usually takes around 30 to 40 minutes to check everything that's in the restaurant and what's missing. And that it's done mostly with a paper list, like simply checking and cross-checking what's in there, what's needed and what's left. And it differs, the times when people check their inventory differs from daily to weekly to bi-weekly. And definitely it is done with 30 minutes before placing an order because they need to wait for the last person in the kitchen to take the last item. And we learned also that inventory and order lists are used when they are checking the delivery. So when the delivery guy comes in, they take out their lists and cross-check.
It's all manual and on paper, they're like
cross-checking them when the products arrive.
No fancy platform.
No fancy platform there. We also learned, if we can move to the next slide.
Yes, Diana, through 8 interviews, we learned all of these insights. Amazing, right?
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
We also discussed about how ordering works and how technology is being used. And we found out, and of course, those are related to the inventory, right? Because you order what's missing. And we found out that 80% of the time, the inventory is standard and the same products are being reordered all the time, with 20% of new items that are being required for specific menus or events. We learned that there's no time to order from a computer and that the easiest and fastest way is by phone or text. So they simply pick up the phone, call their sales rep and make the order on the fly. And then we discovered that the computer is mostly for management and it's often locked in a different office or in a different space, off limits to the staff members.
Definitely not in the kitchen.
Definitely not in the kitchen where all the products are. And we also learned that owners fear that their staff, if they were supposed to order items for them, are not really interested in finding the best prices. And some owners do actually fear of being ripped off by their staff. So we have those fears in place, and maybe that's the reason why the computer with its fancy technology is being locked behind doors. So those are just a couple of things that we discovered during our interviews and made us have some conclusions.
To summarize, this is our value proposition. And then when we're looking at it, talking about pricing, right? Price savings, financial savings. We discovered the insights that we got were price is not the most important thing when choosing item from a vendor. Quality drives loyalty and relationships do matter, especially into this. The other thing is we build a super engine that, yes, it gives you the best price, but doesn't solve for human error. That is not your friend, doesn't help you fix emergencies, and doesn't help owner make better decisions. And then finally, there were a lot of, when we're talking about desirability, yes, the user experience was great on the platform once you were on it, but there was an access barrier. The computer was not used by the staff members and people ordering. A technology barrier. People were more used with the phones and pen and paper, and efficiency, right? Cross-checking inventory and ordering list. You're in the street, unloading, offloading barrels and cases. You don't put stuff into a platform. You're just cross-checking on a list. So these are all insights that we discovered in a very, very short period of time. I think it took 2 days. It took us to run the interviews and then a couple of days to synthesize all of the data. And if you think in the context of a 2-3 year development project, that's almost nothing. And we really wished we knew some of these things before we started building, because we would have looked at the problem in a much different way. And that probably, I mean, certainly would have influenced the way we built the solution. In this case, it was too late to save this business, and it was heartbreaking for the founders, for us as well. We also had a stake in it because we very much believed in it. Because 2 years after the launch, it failed. It was quite a long journey for 6-7 years working on this. It's not that we were solving the wrong problem, because the problem is there, and I think the solution was good as well. We were not looking at the problem in its entirety, I would say, and that's why the solution was not the best one. Technically, yes, we did it, but that's not everything. So I would say looking at the problem from all perspectives, it's important. Why did it took 2 years to be in the market? Yeah, good. So I'm going to answer some of these questions at the end. But it's never too late. What we want to say, it's never too late to start doing it right from the very beginning. Especially, it takes so little time in comparison with the time and the effort you're putting into building your solutions.
The idea is that we learn those lessons the hard way. And what we want to suggest to you is to learn it the easy way, because you can get to the same insights and the same results by simply asking the right questions right from the beginning. And unfortunately for us in 2013, we didn't know better. And if we would knew then what we know now, like the world would look different for us as a company and for a business model altogether.
So what's really important here is always think about the problem first, not about the solution. And the reality is that that's what we did. We jumped into solution without having a full understanding of what the problem was. Good. So when to problem frame? One way to solve this. Now, we were a development shop. One way to solve for this was bringing in design sprints, and those help indeed. But even like this, design sprints are still a problem-solving framework, and they focus very much, if you're looking at the process, at the original process, 80% of it is focused on the solution space, just a little bit at the beginning on the problem space. And there's not even defining the problem as it is understanding what the problem is. And there is a difference here. So then when you're focusing so much on the solution space without defining the problem, you may end up working on the wrong problem, working on a problem not worth the investment, working with assumptions and no real insights. Yes, someone might argue that design sprints could be research themselves, because you're getting some insights at the end of the process by testing the prototype. However, I would argue that this is a very expensive way of doing research with a team of experts spending together 5 days in a room to find answers to some questions just one person could ask, right? And then not knowing the problem might lead to working with the wrong sprint team and experts, and in the end, maybe not focusing on the right users. This is why in Design Sprint 3.0, which Kate mentioned, we focus 75% of the time in the problem space, and only then we're moving into solving the problem. And this is how it looks for us. When we're running a design sprint, when we're solving a problem, we always start with groundwork, because in most of the cases, there's something done before. There is some existing information. Then we're moving into the problem framing to define the problem, sprint prep, design sprint, and then follow up. To show you how it looks during the groundwork, we learn what we know, or what the teams know, what's missing, what's uncertain, because we're gathering all of the existing information around the project that we're working on. Very rarely you have something that's starting from scratch. So there must be some data around what you're working on. We're identifying the key stakeholders. This would be people who can make decision around that project, around that initiative, people who have the budget, people who can kill the project. We interview them and then synthesize the data. Based on it, we put together a problem framing agenda. And then together with the stakeholders, Based on all of this information and all of this pre-work, we're defining and prioritizing problems. We then bring in the user to see who are our customers, prioritize them, and then at the very end, we're aligning on what our core opportunities are. By the end of problem framing, we do have stakeholders buy in and they're aligned on what we should do next. Then it's very easy to go into the next stage, which is sprint prep. Uh, in this period, maybe we're doing some extra research if we noticed we have too big of a gap in our knowledge and we don't want to work with just assumptions. We also make sure that we find a way to bring the insights that we discovered into the sprint so the team can leverage those when thinking of solutions. And yes, validate the sprint brief and what we're trying to do with our stakeholders. Also, this is a time when you're dealing with logistics such as putting together the sprint team, clearing calendars, finding your experts and scheduling them, the room, physical room, when we're back to running in-person sprints, if not preparing your mural or mural boards, so all of these things. Then we're doing the design sprint for 4 or 5 days, 4 days in person, 5 days if we're doing it remotely, followed up by a sprint report where we basically collect everything that happened in a design sprint and we have our conclusions. And that's something that we use when we define next steps. When we bring back the stakeholders again and they see what we did in the design sprint and they can make decision on what the next step should be. One thing that I want to mention here before I move and I really talk about problem framing and how to do it. In problem framing, we're working mostly with decision makers. So problem framing is a strategic workshop that involves decision makers, and design sprints are done with your makers, with your experts, people who can solve the problems. Also, design sprints are more tactical types of workshops. So problem framing strategic, design sprints tactical, problem framing decision makers, design sprints makers. That's kind of how we're looking at it. Now going into problem framing, that's the topic of our webinar today. This was just an intro to it. What is problem framing? And problem framing to us, it's a design thinking method that we use to understand, define, and prioritize complex business problems. In the end, it will help people make better decisions faster. It will lead to stakeholder alignment and, very important, a very clear problem definition. So these are the big outcomes at the end of a problem framing process. And when we're talking about a problem framing process, for us, it has 4 main steps or stages that we always do for all of the framing for all of the project. Of course, some of them sometimes we would focus more on one than another, but generally they are contextualizing the problem, where we really try to understand the problem space, define all of the problems. Then we're moving into justifying the business need, because that's where everyone wants to start, and every business starts with themselves. Why is this important? Why do we want to do it? What KPIs we want to hit? You name it. And then once that's clear, we're moving into understanding the customer, because there's always 2 sides to the coin, and customer is very important, and we want to see who are our customers and empathize with them. And at the intersection of these 2, justifying the business need and understanding the customer, we find the real opportunities that we want to focus on. If you want to learn more about problem framing, we do have some training, online training, because I see someone was asking if we have online training courses. We have some training coming up in January, both for EMEA dates, Europe, and also for the American time zones. Going back to our workshop that we want to run today, we're going to focus on understanding the customer and only on prioritizing and deciding who the customer is, and also how to come up with a problem statement. And for that, we will use a mural template. Now, when to run this type of a workshop? We call it a problem statement workshop. It's part of problem framing, and you run it when you already know and you have a complex business need. So you know what you're trying to achieve. I want to do this, and we're going to have a canned challenge here. Also important, you're not sure where to start exactly. The problem, although you know what you're trying to do, the problem is not really well defined. You're not set on a specific customer yet, or you're not sure who the customer is. And then you have a group of stakeholders who are not aligned with each other, and maybe all of them have a different understanding of that problem or what they're trying to do. This could be quite a quick workshop, about 2 hours, can be done remotely easily, and today we're going to go through it. It's not going to take 2 hours when we do it. We're going to fast forward it, yes. But then you can watch the replay at a slower pace. When we're doing this problem statement workshop, we're basing it on the 4 whys, and we're answering these 4 questions. But first of all, we're starting with who, and that's who is affected, who is having the problem, who will benefit from a solution if we come up with one, and what do we now assume about them. So that's the customer. And then we start going into the problem. What is the problem about, right? How do we explain it? Is it an actual problem? Is it not? Do we have any evidence? So we're talking about the problem. Once we have that, the next thing is, okay, this is the problem. When or where does it happen? That's something that what's the context of this problem? And finally, we need to cover the benefits. We're solving the problem. What value are we creating for our customers? But also equally important, what value are we creating for our business? So that's what we're looking at. And today we're going to run a workshop, a problem statement workshop on this initial problem. How to get customers to open new savings accounts. So how to get customers open new savings accounts. That's something that we're going to try to frame a little bit.
And we are all going to pretend we are all going to pretend to be a bank.
We are a bank.
We are a bank. Me, Alex, and Kate, who are in a bank, and we're trying to.
Yes, Kate is the head of new consumer business.
Okay.
Just got promoted into this position. Dana, she's the marketing director. And Alex is the branch manager of our most performing branch in London.
Awesome.
Good. I'm not sure how you're going to work with the Brexit, Alex, but anyway. We're using for this mural, and I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and switch to mural, because that's what we're going to use to facilitate the workshop. Stop share. Okay. Single face now. Keynote, no. This one. It's good. Everyone sees my.
Yes.
We're good. Perfect. So let's start the workshop. Today's objective, thank you for joining me, Kate, Dana, and Alex. We do have a big challenge that we want to work through, how to get customers to open new savings accounts at our bank. And our goal for this workshop is to define who these customers are and see what is exactly the problem that we're trying to solve here and how we're going to approach it. So, as you know, we have many customers, but we need to see who they are, and also we need to make a decision who we want to open this new savings account. Are some more important than others? Do we want to focus on some groups? So we're going to start with that. The way this activity will go, it's going to be some initial brainstorm, where you will have to think of who the customers are. Could be, for example, students with loans or parents with young children. Now, whatever it is. So think of who the customers might be, people who are having problems, people who are looking for a solution. And in silence, I'm going to set the timer to 2 minutes. I know it says 10 in there, but we only have 2 here. Think of who our customers might be. Is it good? Any questions?
All clear. All clear.
All clear? Amazing. 2 minutes for this. I'm going to start the timer and let's see. Okay, so some of the stuff are coming up. New married couples, people with immediate need for money. Good. Unemployed senior citizens. Not the yellow one.
I know. I know.
Just click once. Okay, good. Unemployed. Right. Okay. If they're opening bank accounts, what do they put in there? People with a need for day-to-day savings. That's good. Someone who wants to buy a house. Excellent. Good. I see we have quite a lot of them. Now, it's very important to decide where we want to focus. Again, it doesn't mean that one is more important than another, but our solutions are going to be different depending on the customer. So we're probably going to use different strategy to attract young parents versus freelancer or people who just retired. So that's why, let's see, where do we want to focus first? So for this, I want to start a voting session. Everyone will have 3 votes, and I would ask each of you to choose the customers we want to focus on for this. Let me start this voting session. Don't forget, everyone has 3 votes. Select customer. I'm going to name it. Next, I'm going to open the voting session. Don't forget, you have 3 votes. Use them however you want and begin voting. 4 people are voting. Come on, Alex. Kate, 2 votes left. Oh, you're so efficient.
We need to be super fast.
Perfect. So let's see the results. How do I end this? Okay, end voting session. So we have young parents. It feels like we have lots of votes there, right in time. But then we have other like students, parents of a single child, which could be the young parents, entrepreneurs, and unemployed. So from now on, although the rest could be very good customers as well, we're going to focus on young parents. Sound good?
Yes, I think
all good.
It's perfect to start with this target audience.
Perfect. So let's see, what do we know about these young parents? How do we identify them? Very important, because at one point we will come up with solutions. We want to test them. How do we recruit these young parents? How do we identify them? And again, the exercise goes the same way. You're going to brainstorm individually facts about them, about how you're identifying them, and then we're going to end up with a voting session. Whatever you can think of, stuff like they're living in a rented apartment or they're still living with their parents. I don't know. Whatever you think it is, could be assumptions, could be facts that you know. Alex, I think you're meeting lots of these customers on a daily basis.
Yes, I am.
Good. So I will.
All about them.
So you know all about them. So I will give you again 2 minutes for this, and let's see how we can describe the young parents. Okay, people who are in need of financial stability, it's good. They're still receiving support from their parents. Okay, both of them working and hoping for a career, so they're very fresh in their professional life. Recently started leasing a car. Not very sustainable. Already having 1 child, considering a second. Busy lifestyles. Low incomes. Okay, it could be a problem. Okay. What else do we have here? Anything else? Perfect. Do you want to add anything else, Kate?
John, just to say that there's 1 vote. It's got me voting, so I'm not able to type on the post-its.
I'm so sorry for that.
I think it was me being slow. I had to refresh. Sometimes that can happen in Mural, I think, when I was trying to vote.
Yeah, that's something that happens with Mural, and a very universal fix. If you're in a workshop, refresh, much like the old Windows systems. Okay, so I think we're. Anything else you want to add? No, we're good.
Yes.
Perfect. So let's see. Can we do a vote of a round of voting? I'm going to end the timer here. And let's see what's important here. Okay. And I'm going to start the voting session. 3 votes. I'm just going to quickly call it facts and begin voting. Okay. Perfect. Visualize. Can I end the voting session? Yes. Busy lifestyles, low incomes, and they have trouble saving money due to the constant expenses. Right, so when we're going to look for customers that we want to talk to for research or test our solutions with, this would be some of the attributes we're going to look at. So this is how we profile our customers. Perfect. Now that we know who our customer is, let's go into the problem space a little bit and see what is the problem, or what problems do they encounter. And to do that, you're already used with the exercise. What we want to do, we want to look at what problems they have from their own perspective. Again, you will need to do some individually brainstorming on these sticky notes. Could be assumptions, could be problems that you assume they have. It's totally fine at this point, or maybe could be facts. Alex should know more facts than all of us, since you're working with them on a daily basis. So again, I will give you 2 minutes to brainstorm as many problems that you think these young parents have when it comes to money. Not voting. 2 minutes, and let's see. Ooh, we're too fast. They cannot travel. I mean, no one can travel right now. The money is enough only for basic necessities. Yes, true. Not prepared for a possible emergency. No savings. Unable to maintain a good credit score. Unable to get a mortgage. And that's why they're living with the parents. No savings. Yeah, and we want to make them open a saving account, right? Let's see how we do that. So I think we're good with the ideation. Everyone's good? Perfect. If we can save some time, that's fine. So let's see which are the most important of these problems, which we think they're the most important ones. And for that, we're going to do a little bit of voting. Again, 3 votes. I'm just going to call it pain points. Begin voting. And the results. Okay, so we have the money is enough only for basic necessities, no savings, not enough time at home due to busy lifestyles. Okay. Not prepared for a possible emergency that goes, that's very aligned with the top voted one as well. So we're starting to see here a pattern. Good, so knowing these are the problems that they have, and it's clear for us which we think are the most important ones. Let's see where they happen, or when they happen. And that's the next part of our workshop, because we need to contextualize this. So the way we're doing it, again, individual brainstorming, because it's very important to get each of your perspectives without influencing each other. What is the context where our customer is experiencing this problem? And to give you an example is when trying to plan a vacation. When planning on buying a yacht, I don't think they're in that position. So maybe that's another customer group that we have. And maybe we have them open other types of account, like private banking for that. But keeping it real, and for our customers, let's see where do they problem happen. Again, I will give you 2 minutes to brainstorm on sticky notes here. So let's see. Actually 1 minute, because you're very good. So when do they happen? When starting a college fund for their newly born children, I guess. Okay, when making plans about the future, when second pregnancy, so there's a lot of stuff about the kids. Because of the corona situation, yes. When they hate their jobs and feel depressed, okay, let's go for something a bit more cheerful. Not the health issues. Okay, not a lot of happy things here. So let's see which of these are most important. Where do we wanna focus? So let's do a little bit of voting. All good? Everyone ready for voting? Yes? Good. We do this next time. Voting, start voting sessions. I will just name this context. 3 votes. Begin voting. Okay. Everyone's voted. You're very, very quick. Such an efficient team. So we voted for out of the blue costs and expenses, but then we have a lot of other as well. Good. So this is when they can't. This is when the money is not is enough only for basic necessities, right? Good. Now, finally, we looked at the problem. We see who our customer is. We know when their problems happen. We decided which are the most important ones. Now, why do we care about this? So let's suppose we come up with a solution. What value are we creating for the for our customer, but also what value are we creating for our business? Because I mean, even if we come on, guys, don't start putting anything in. Like, what are you doing?
They're fast.
You're fast. No. See, this is when the team is too eager to do something. Like, I'm facilitating here. Like, listen to my directions. So we need to focus first on value for our persona. So coming up with a solution. What value are we creating for them? Again, now you can brainstorming, all of you.
Thank you so much.
For 2 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Enjoying life. I like that. So, see, that's positive. Feeling safe. Having their own home, not living with the parents. Having peace of mind, which allows them to reinvest. Yes, and buy that boat. Not being dependent on their parents. Well-being. Okay. Lots of value. Being able to react accordingly in situations of emergency. Really well put, Kate. Thank you. Eating more healthy food. Alex, yes, they're eating junk food.
Expensive.
It's expensive. Okay. Investing in their future. Maintaining a constant sufficient amount of savings. Well, these are all very very good things, and hopefully we can help our customers with that. So let's see what would be the priority for us if we came up with a solution. Where do we want? Which one we think it's most important? Reduced anxiety. Okay. Let's vote. Value for customer is this value for customer. 3 votes. Begin voting. Okay. So top vote, having a peace of mind, which allows them to reinvest, and then lots of other benefits they can have from this. Excellent. Now for almost, we're getting to the end of the workshop, but it's really important for the next stage to think of what value we get as a business. Because yes, we can create value for the customers, but if we're not making revenues, if we're not making profits, we won't be able to help our customers achieve their own goals. So very important that there are benefits for us as well. So let's see what we think those might be. As you're already used, you're going to do the individual brainstorming. Please don't start before I tell you so. Kate, I see that you are like starting to get a head start here because you're used with the format. But individually, let's take 1 minute and see what benefits we as a bank will get. Improved corporate social responsibility. Okay, cross-selling opportunities, increasing revenues, high turnover linked to that. Brand recognition, love that. A potential future customers, their children. All right, okay. Higher customer retention. Yes. Anything else?
Not from my side.
No.
No?
All good.
Yes.
So good. So let's see which one you think is the most important benefit for us if we were to find a solution. Quick voting session here. Value for business. Begin voting. Okay. Always checking to see if you voted. So Kate, you're back in the workshop, right, for a while?
Yay.
So higher customer retention, that's the top one. Good. Now I'm going to take a break from facilitation just to talk to everyone in the webinar. In real life, although we would run these activities, at the end of each we would allow for a discussion, and we would make sure that we're all aligned, especially before voting, to make sure that we all understand what it is that we're voting. Also, maybe at times we would have discussions about what's fact versus what's assumption. For example, Alex being working in a branch, he would know a lot more things about the customer, whereas Dana, as a marketing director, maybe she has some assumptions there, or maybe Kate, he or she has assumptions because she's trying to sell to people and she's making all sorts of assumptions. So it's a conversation worthwhile having as you go through the workshop. For the sake of time here, we don't have the time to do it. The final part of this, and we're closing in, is coming up with the problem statement. But all of these activities lead to the problem statement. And we actually, this is what we voted in all of the different activities that we've done. Basically, we do have the problem statement. It's just a matter of putting it into a format. So I would just give it a shot and I would say, young parents, it's clear here. What is the problem? The money is enough only for basic necessity. Have the problem, where is it? Have the problem.
They only have money for basic necessities.
Have the problem that they have money. Am I typing correctly? For basic necessities. Necessities and no reserves. To cover costs when unexpected situations occur. And then the benefits would be our solution, whatever that might be. We don't know the solutions now. Our solutions would give them peace of mind and help them create a financial cushion. And then our benefit would be and turn them into a loyal lifetime customer of ours.
Yay.
So this is based on everything that we've done. This is how everything led to the problem statements. And you can congratulate your team. You're done with this. super fast facilitation.
Although a little bit late.
Yes. You do have this workshop format and the template in Mural. Also, something that you have in the template when you download this, you will see a case study from Bank of America Maybe not everyone has trading table or another experience, but this is a very good case study with this format that you can use to sell problem framing or show the value of problem framing to your stakeholders before running a session. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and maybe we get
a couple of questions. Unfortunately, we are a little bit late, but I think it was worth to show a demo of how this workshop goes. But we'll take some questions. Maybe Kate, if you can help us out.
Yeah, the first thing just to say to everyone is that we will be sharing the recording and we will be sending the link out. So don't fear if you joined late or, you know, we cantered through the facilitation there. You will be able to rewatch it and then try it out on the mural itself. I think one of the questions, again, that's come about is in regards to maybe just your training courses. Someone has asked about online training courses. Obviously, you've talked about the ones in early January, but do you want to add any more to that?
No, I think everyone can check them on the website and join in January. Hopefully, we're going to see them.
Basically, it's a one day split into sessions, each of 3 hours, and it's going to be super, super interactive. So you guys will do all the work. You really learn by doing, and you're going to experience a real problem and move through all the stages as we teach them in the problem framing setup.
That's a good one. When are we actually talking to young parents in this process? That's a question. You can talk to it right after you do this. This is a very short type of workshop. It takes 1 or 2 hours. It's used to align everyone. And what you might notice after this workshop is that you actually have a lot of assumptions. And although you want to focus on young parents, you just don't know enough. So a good moment to talk with them would be right after. Because that could be one of the decisions you make after the workshop. Yes, we want to focus on them. We don't know enough. Let's try to validate some of these assumptions before we move into any sort of problem solving, even if that's something as short as a design sprint. So maybe we want to get some validation first. Again, doing this kind of workshop, it's a very good advocate for running short research cycles. And again, we insist on this, they shouldn't be long research cycles. It's something that takes 1-2 days where you're asking a few questions and you're getting the same insights as we got on trading table.
Excellent, John, that's great. There's quite a few just in regards to, I guess, selecting the role, John. There were some people asking about, would you have makers and doers, at least some in that, you know, in the problem framing, or is it very much stakeholder, that strategy that you described?
I would say, because I see the question here, how do you decide what the decision makers that will attend the workshop? It's people who are signing off on the project, people who have the budget, people who can stop the project from happening, people who you need approval to move forward to implement your solutions. And of course, there's going to be, especially us, we're an external consultant, we have to do some detective work to find these decision makers. In our training, we show a technique of what we're using. We're using something called stakeholder mapping to identify them, but that would be work you're doing to your own organization as well. But very important, this would not be the team that implements the solution. These are decision makers because they're able to make decisions. That's their role. So I hope I answered that.
Excellent. There was an interesting one here again. How would this approach template have helped you to avoid the problem you highlighted in your original case study, i.e. the lack of research? That's coming in from Dean.
It would have definitely worked. I mean, just for such a short period of time, we would see how much we don't know. Like we didn't, at the time, we didn't even knew that we don't know. Like we generally didn't.
Actually, we did this with our startup owners, but after we finished the project. So we did it to find out, okay, what's missing. And we did it kind of the same format, defining the persona and what are the problems that they have, just to see, okay, what are our assumptions and what questions should we ask in the first place? Because we didn't know what to investigate, but by simply creating this profile and putting there our assumptions, it was easier to just double check them. Are those assumptions or are those facts?
I see a lot of questions about this template and where to get it from. So you can get it directly from the Mural site. Alex, please put the link one more time in the chat window. yeah, you can download it from there. And in the template, you also have instructions on how to run the workshop with timings. So we can do it in real life. Another question that I see, I think we're going to get to more questions. In reality, does the facilitator read out loud all of the post-its? I wouldn't recommend for the facilitator to read as the team ideates, as I did, because it could be quite disruptive for them. I just wanted to highlight some of the insights, so everyone should be quiet to allow for everyone to think. But then after the brainstorming is done, we definitely encourage discussion whereas everyone could read their own and give a little bit of context of why they think this is a customer we want to focus on, or why do we think this is a problem or not. So we do encourage this type of discussions before voting. And as a facilitator, you just prompt them with questions and make sure that everyone gets their turn to speak.
Excellent. One final question.
I would say, does the facilitator, like really easy question, does the facilitator typically vote along with the participants? No. No, so I was just doing it here, but don't vote. The facilitator should be out of the content, should be just in a facilitator role, not a participative role. That's, yeah. So that they can stay unbiased and yeah, just be in the facilitator role.
Excellent. Well, I think, yeah,
Cosmin has 2 questions. I see these 2 questions from Cosmin. Should we try to find a customer group with homogeneous sets of needs? Absolutely, yes. So you can then so you can profile them and then find solutions for them. Will this work for broader customers groups and wider solutions? Yes, it's just that you would need to repeat this sort of activities for each of your customer groups. So initially you have one ideation session where you come up with all of your potential customer groups. And then for the ones you choose, let's say you have top 3 or 4 customer groups that you want to focus on, you go through this the same exercise that we showed here. Maybe you do a few shorter and multiple sessions on this, not in one go.
The goal is to prioritize. You need to start with, even if you're going to look for solutions for all the target audiences, you need to start with one. You need to start somewhere. And how you start is by clearly defining what you know about them and what are your assumptions. And then you plan next steps.
Excellent.
I think
yeah,
we're a bit late, but
taking your time. Well, thank you so much, John and Dana, for going through that quick fire round of questions. I'm sure people still have some, floating about, but we're here, and you can always reach out to us and stay in touch. We're on LinkedIn, and I think our profiles were shared at the start. We're on all the social media channels, so we'd love to stay in contact. But
and I see, okay, just 1 second, sorry to interrupt. I see we still have lots of open questions. I think we're going to create a mural and share some of the answers to the rest of the group, because we couldn't answer all of them. So we're going to provide answers to them.
Perfect. Yeah. Excellent. So we'd just like to say another massive thank you to the turnout tonight. It kind of broke our records. It's been fantastic. And I think it leaves us just to say the very best of festive wishes for Christmas and New Year, and a very good goodbye to 2020, and we welcome 2021. And we think problem framing will be part of that for sure. So without further ado, thank you again, and yeah, take care everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice evening. Bye all.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
The numbers are dropping now. Thanks from Austria. Thank you. Thank you, Ram.
Antonio.
Oh, Antonio. Oh, we were supposed to meet in Berlin. Happy New Year in advance.
Yes, thank you.
It was great to have your session. Grateful.
Okay, good. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yay.
I'm going to end it now. 1, 2, 3. Bye.